Good morning, Jeremy. Thank you for joining us on the Pristine Connections podcast. You're actually our second episode. They just launched this podcast recently, so I'm your host today. I'm Ashley Furr. I'm with Data Stew LLC. I do sales and marketing for them, and we are here with Jeremy May. He's the owner of Text Soft Wash LLC. It's actually a startup, so I'm excited to hear a little bit more about that. I'm very familiar with startups, and I see that it's veteran owned and operated, so I'd love to learn more about that. Are you a veteran?
Airborne Infantry.
Awesome. Thank you for your service. Love that. Absolutely love that. Well, tell me a little bit about you. I would love to know kind of your hobbies and background.
Okay, so I'll just start with, birth, because it kind of, my story starts with there. When I was a month, my biological father actually slammed me against a wall, so I had developed shaken baby syndrome.
Oh my gosh.
I know, yeah, it's a pretty crazy story. In my head, apparently it swelled up like 2 to 3 times the normal size, and it had been like a week since that had happened. And then the family was like, hey, we really need to get him to the hospital. Neurosurgeons were telling them, like, he's not going to make it. There's nothing we can do. But they ended up just going through the procedure anyways, and here I am. So
Wow.
I have more to say about all that, but I don't want to disclose too much. But it was a very rough upbringing, and so I just kind of have been through a lot, and I think that has mentally fortified me to a certain degree. So all those years, we'll just kind of skip to why I joined the military. It was kind of to escape all that family issues, and from there I did, Airborne Infantry, obviously. And then once I got out, I used the GI to go do underwater welding in Seattle. So,
Nice.
And then from there, I wanted to explore life. So I tried, construction, this and that, and I loved a lot of this stuff. But where my heart was entrepreneurship. And the reason why I was there is in high school, I used to sell candy and sodas for $1. And I hustled that, and just that put a fire in me,
Yeah.
So after all that experience, I went through all that to kind of determine what I would want to do in life. And one of the construction jobs that I was doing was pressure washing, and I just absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
It was super satisfying, so that's always been kind of like one of my favorite things to do. Also, one of my hobbies was linguistics. I love languages, so I studied German, Russian, and French.
Oh my gosh.
And I just try to develop myself into, I don't know, just the best person that I thought I could be.
Yeah.
And so that's just kind of how that worked out. And then, a little over a year ago, we found out we were having a baby boy, which I never thought I was going to be able to have a boy.
That's amazing.
Or a child. And so that was kind of the moment that made me decide, I think I want to do something my own. We had some money saved up, and so I bought my equipment, got registered, figured out the market and everything, and got our shirts designed, everything designed super professional and to stand out. And then from there, it's been nonstop.
That's great.
Yeah.
So how long have you officially been in business then?
So 10 of 22.
10 of 22. Awesome. So a couple years in, which is great. That's amazing. So what it sounds like, it was a hobby that more or less just you decided to be an entrepreneur and take it full throttle, which that's great. I'd love to know, have you had any crazy stories power washing yet?
So I know what I'm doing, so I can't really say that, but I do have a crazy story of a guy that I've heard about locally. And so he said one of his guys was, his foot itched, and, he was wearing some boots, and he actually used the wand with a red tip. Now the red tip is a straight stream of pressure, and he was going to itch, and I guess just pressed the trigger, and now the top of his foot just ballooned up, filled completely full of water, just like that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's okay.
Yeah,
It
he's
got
okay.
drained,
Yeah, he's okay, but
oh my gosh.
it's like, think about what you do.
I guess it is. I mean, you think about pressure washing, but it can be very dangerous, obviously, because what's the number? How much pressure is coming out of that?
4,000 PSI plus.
Okay. Yeah. So, and obviously too close, I'm sure
could
be pretty bad damage, obviously. So, I guess tell us all the services that your company offers besides just power washing.
So we do anything from residential and commercial and kind of the post-construction, but we do pressure washing, obviously, soft washing, which is kind of a gentler alternative to pressure for your siding, such as like vinyl. You don't want to oxidize it and ruin it. We do roof washing, window cleaning, screen cleaning, rust removal. And for like our post-construction, we just did the car wash off of 380 across from Baylor, and we got all the tire marks out, all the rust, got all the, equipment stains that were left. We can do stuff like that. Just pretty much what I tell people, if it's a surface on the outside and it's, dirty, that we can handle it.
Okay. So for, clientele purposes, you hear about people needing like landscaping and a new roof and just different things for the home. So when you're selling your services, what's some of the most important things that a homeowner can, just know, like, oh, you know what, maybe I should call Jeremy for this. Because when I think of my home, I never think about possibly pressure washing unless the outside is just dirty.
So when I started this and kind of was building up my business, I had this idea in my head. You know how we all have a toothbrush, but we still go to the dentist.
Right.
I've been told so many times, hey, my son and we have a pressure washer. I understand that and respect that, but there's a reason why I'm the professional here. And we can just do things with more detail, with more expertise, quicker, efficient, and even cheaper sometimes, as far as time is concerned. What was the rest of your question? Can you cut that part? I kind of drew.
No, it was just really asking like why somebody would really need your services when they think of their home.
Absolutely. So again, for mold particularly, that's where I kind of want to approach that. If you have a rust stain, it's not really going to travel too much. It's not going to create too much damage that I can't, take out. Now, when you're talking about organic growth, it grows. And so over time, if you let that sit on your siding, it'll go into your weep holes, it'll go into cracks, crevices, and it'll find its way into the internal structure, and it will rot away. Just kind of like how if we don't brush our teeth, that bacteria will build up and start to build those cavities.
Yeah. Interesting, because that's my biggest thing. Like when I think of power washing, I'm like, oh, my garage, obviously in the summer with spiders and all the bugs that are coming in, like that stuff is important, but I never think about doing the siding in my house or even the brick. I know it's important to clean, obviously, those areas. So really interesting concept. I've learned a lot from just that one answer. So obviously you have been a startup. You're a couple years in. What are some of the challenges you've faced? Some of the excitements that you've gotten to experience so far?
So I'd say one of the biggest challenges is having a baby, still having to work a job because you're a startup, and building a business to be better than all my competition. So I have to really specifically use every second of my day to meaningfully, produce a result. So whether I'm on Facebook, I've built relationships with like roofing companies such as SCI Roofing, which they are super awesome. And then also, the Pristine Connections group and networking and just trying to manage everything and build, that empire. I think that has just been the most stressful but most rewarding thing at the same time.
Yeah, really learning that work-life balance is important, especially with a new little one. And you said he's a year old now?
A little over
a year. That's the best.
He's doing the teething and...
Yes. Maybe that's not the best, but yes, I completely understand. So, some of the excitements, how much have you guys grown in the 2 years since you've started?
I have grown exponentially. It's been wild. As a matter of fact, in our first month, we went door knocking. Me and a kid I used to know, he's a young kid going into the military now, but I said, hey, man, let's just go do some door knocking. We actually landed Willow Bend Wellness in Plano. We met the property manager, and she was like, oh, y'all can do that? Here, come on.
Nice.
And so that, that was awesome. And then from there, we just kind of marketed and started to get into these networking groups and just do the right things. Sure. I haven't even made a penny. Like, I have not paid myself. Everything's going to the business to grow.
Which is great. That's really, really great. Do you, obviously, since you're veteran owned and operated, do you like to hire your employees that are also veterans as well?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Great. I love that. I love that. I help run a nonprofit for veterans and first responders, so I have a soft spot for you
So
guys.
I will say one thing. If you go on our website, there is a
Yeah.
page called For Techs for Vets.
Oh, okay.
And what that is a resource. I make nothing from it. It's just a resource if anybody ever knew a veteran that needs help, buying a house or, mental health or whatever it is. I have all those resources right there, so they can just click on it and it takes them right to it.
That's great. We'll make sure we get that posted when this podcast drops as well, because that's a huge benefit for sure. Since obviously, you've been in business for a while, I want you to share obviously some of your business and professional journeys that have helped you, over the years, but also how do you help this next generation of entrepreneurs? What is some advice you would give them from things that you've experienced so far?
I would say the biggest thing is accept adversity. Like, accept it and don't look at that as a failure per se. There's a way through it. And what I've learned through all the adversity and overcoming all these obstacles is it gets easier.
Yep.
It compounds and you also get stronger mentally, physically, all of that. And I think that is the biggest piece of advice is just don't get discouraged. It's hard. It's tough.
Sure. Anything business related can be tough.
Very tough, yes.
Again, back to the work-life balance, learning how to be good with your time and still have the opportunity to learn and grow from there. I definitely understand that. Right. Tell us about your routine.
So
what helps you be the most productive?
So my routine right now is, I'm trying to continually better myself. So right now I'm on a bulking. So I take, my multivitamins in the morning, wake up.
Nice.
And then, I do my part-time work. And then from there, it's staying on top of all my clients, reaching out, doing networking. We're going to be doing some networking a little bit later today. And, that's just kind of my daily routine. Then once I'm done, I go home and my wife, she gets her me time. So I get to take over with the baby and spend my quality time with him. And
that's great.
Routine isn't too crazy, but, it's pretty consistent and, organized. And I think I like to keep it simple.
Yeah. Which is great. I think it's easy to get lost in the hustle and bustle
it
of
really
work.
Can be, yes.
I used to do that, and I always joke now. I'm like, I feel like I don't do a whole lot during the day, and then I feel like I'm not doing enough. But it's actually been better, because I used to just be running and gunning all the time,
constantly,
and it's easy to do that. But I mean, it helps again grow your business. But like you've said, your business has grown exponentially even after the first month, which is great. Do you ever have, lull periods in your business? I know there's seasons. Tell us about that.
So during the winter, now we do have the capability of working in the colder weather. I'm not scared to do that. Some people, they kind of are uncomfortable, but I'm hungry. I'm willing to do it as long as it's not freezing.
Sure.
Now, whenever those times come, again, I would say that kind of ties back into that adversity and the obstacles and just kind of understanding that's just a part of it. So you need to properly, budget everything. Don't willy-nilly spend, don't buy too much equipment without doing your marketing. You have to understand all those things. So I'd say that's one of the biggest kind of fears that I have in those lulls. Rainy days, we also work on those days as well because we work with water, so it doesn't really matter. It helps me rinse, actually.
Right.
So, yeah, I just deal with it by filling in those days that I'm not working with, like Andrew was mentioning earlier, I'm very active on Facebook and building those rapports with companies that I can genuinely refer and that I believe, they would genuinely refer me as well.
Sure.
And upon building those relationships, if you go onto some of these local groups here in the McKinney, Dallas area, if you see somebody that says, hey, I need some pressure washing, you'll find a lot of people under there saying Jeremy May, Vortex Soft Wash, so that's another thing I would just advise, new entrepreneurs and things like that, in those lull times, use that to build those relationships and to catch up, schedule, and just kind of do the maintenance.
Yeah, and just get connected.
Yeah.
What would you say is probably the best season? I mean, you talked about a lot about organic growth. So in my mind, I'm just like, oh, spring, like everything is starting to bloom again. We're starting to get humidity and it's
Right.
warming up. I mean, I'm assuming that would be like a great time to go ahead and like schedule you for a service to make sure everything's ready to go for the season.
Right. So it's kind of like, spring cleaning.
Yeah.
However, it's kind of a yearly thing. Once that spring starts, like you were talking about, the humidity and everything, it's an ongoing thing. Now, what we do, once you get service, you're good for a year.
Okay.
A lot of people, so we do this thing called post-treatment, and it not only brightens up the concrete, but it leaves a protective barrier. So all that organic growth that is in those pores and everything, we completely 100% remove it, kill it, and it will not grow back for a year. Versus just, DIY going out there with your pressure washer, you still have water in the pores, and then the spores of mold, algae, and all that stuff, it's still present, which is just going to grow right back.
Interesting.
So that's kind of another. Oh, and I wanted to mention we do all that for free. The post treatment, what sets us apart is we do that for free.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really great. Well, you already answered my other question. I was about to say, how often do you need to to get treated? But once a year, I mean, that's an easy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's easy.
Easy.
Yeah.
It's everything about this is so simple, but there is a lot of detail to it. For example, like concrete, it's all different as far as the PSI rating, and as we talked about earlier, you can have 4,500 PSI. If it's a new build, you can't hit that with high pressure. You'll completely destroy it, etch it, and you'll have to re-pour it. So we have all that expertise and understanding to know how to throttle, what PSI to use, change our tips, should we do a chemical wash, should we do a pressure wash, should we do this and that. So there's a lot more to it than just cranking on a washer and getting to it.
Right. I'm assuming you do a lot of educational posts then, since you're so big on social. Because I would have never known that we're moving into a new build as well, and I wouldn't think we'd probably just go right at it,
Yeah.
start stripping paint off the siding and everything.
I see that all the time.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Especially vinyl siding. I'll take a moment to educate. Do not hit vinyl siding or shingle roofing with high pressure. You'll oxidize it. You'll ruin it. You'll avoid the warranty. It's a mess.
Interesting.
Yes.
Good to know. Fun fact of the day, for sure. Let's talk about, being a leader. Obviously, you're a business owner. You have your employees underneath you. So what are some experiences and challenges that you've been through that's kind of helped you become a better leader?
I'd say one of the challenges, and I'm going to tie back into the lull, because they kind of count on you to provide for them. So whenever you're not, when you're in that lull, you need to go out and be the self-starter to go get the jobs to provide for them. Because, again, it's a job and they count on you. So I think that's been one of the biggest things is holding myself accountable to do what I need to do to make sure that not only am I growing my business, but that these people that look up to me and count on me, those expectations are being met.
Sure.
And especially because I promote a lot of them to, go chase your dreams. Like right now, my buddy Zach Smith, shout out Zach Smith, he's just now joining the military, and, that's my background too. And so I've mentored him the whole way, told him how basic is going to be, all that good stuff. And I've hooked him up. We've done really tiny jobs and just helping them save up the cash and just things like that. I'm not really here to get rich and buy a Lamborghini because I've been through so much. Like, I know that, and just the way my brain is, I want that for whoever my path crosses with.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see the best in anybody and everybody.
Yeah, that's very respectable. I think it's important for business owners to include the employees in the business, because there might be things that you may not have known that they learned, out on a job or just talking to a customer. I've always said that's very important. And, I want to touch on this, obviously, since a lot of you guys are veterans, you're also giving a sense of purpose. A lot of the times you come out of the military and things are new and you're trying to figure out what you want to do because that's all you've known for a period of your time. And it's nice to know that you're just very hands-on with your employees. I respect the heck out of that. Like I said, I have a soft spot. So, I would love to know, how can people get in touch with you? What other networking groups are you a part of, that you enjoy? What's really been helping your business?
So I will say the Pristine Connections group is by far
Yeah.
like I love it. The magazines, the newsletters, like all of that it's more than just your basic network. So that right there has been absolutely phenomenal. Um, to reach out to me, we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, even though I don't really like TikTok. And our obviously phone number 972-757-8410. And then you can find us at DallasTexasPowerWashing.com.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all over the place.
Yeah. That's what I've been told. You're all over social. We'll make sure we get all those links and things posted and your number blasted on the podcast. I'll end it with this. What piece of advice would you give to somebody that's wanting to start a company?
Do your due diligence and don't just jump into something, especially if you have a kid. Like, especially,
Yes.
you can throw a lot of things away. Expect to fail, especially if it's your first go around. I've started a few different things, like a little handyman service, and it was just so hard to do all that. So I guess I can sum it up by saying count the cost, like the whole cost, because it's not going to be easy. But if you do that and you come mentally prepared, and you kind of expect that, things are going to be rough, I think you can endure the storm a lot better than if you just think, oh, this is going to be easy. I'm going to tell all my friends and family, they're going to share you, because they won't.
Yeah.
Most of them, they just won't. It's unfortunate, but I've had the most support of people that I've never met a day in my life.
I've heard that a lot. Even Josh, when we were on the podcast with him, it's crazy to see how many people close to you really have no idea what you actually do
At all.
But in one of the networking groups I'm part of, a financial advisor actually, he for his soundbite stood up and he was like, every single week or every single day you need to be reminding your family of what you do on Facebook or wherever it is, because they always forget. And I'm like, really? And then I think back to mine and I'm like, I guess everybody typically kind of asks what all I'm tapping into these days. And I'm like, wow, people really don't know.
It's kind of like a familiarity, breeds contempt. They're
Sure.
so familiar. They've seen you every day. They're just kind of, it's whatever. But the people that you're just now interacting, you're building that first impression. And plus, they don't know a lot of the, silly stuff we've done in our past. So it's kind of, a fresh book. And I think that has a lot to play.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm all about, you just got to be yourself though.
Absolutely.
And whoever really wants to work with you, they will, but you just have to be you. I'll end it with this question. What are your service areas?
So, McKinney, and we'll go up to about 50 miles, and we occasionally go beyond that. I'm all about helping people. We're about to go into Oklahoma and do a parking lot wash and restripe, which I forgot to mention that we do parking lot striping as well.
Oh, cool.
So it's for a church, and they don't have a lot of money, but they need the service, so I'm all there.
That's
I'm all
great.
for it.
Love that. Well, Jeremy, I appreciate you being on the podcast
Absolutely.
today.
Thank you
We'll
for
make
having
sure we
me.
get all of your information posted and shared. And I actually have another group that you may not be a part of on Facebook that I'll get you hooked
Share
up
me.
with
Yeah.
after this.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for joining us,
Absolutely.
and we'll
Thank you
see you
for
next
having me.
episode.